Hi and welcome back to the shack. It's been a while since I produced a video. This is to update you on the shack and the new edition, which is this FTDX10, which I've set up temporarily here on the desk. Regulars to the channel might have noticed the 991A has disappeared from the top of the 5000. The FTDX10 is to take the place of the 991A as my portable rig and my contesting rig, but I'll need to add transverters for 2 meters and 70 cms. In the meantime, down there just below that monitor is a TS2000, and that's a standing at the moment for the absence of the 991A. So this video is about the FTDX10, just a few little niggles I've found and a way around them, so hopefully this will help other people. Great looking rig. I've only had it a couple of weeks, literally, and I've only used it in anger once. So I'm still getting to learn the ropes, but there is an issue I've found with the rig in terms of contesting. So the FTDX10 in terms of operation is very similar to the 5000 and the 991A in terms of features and terminology on the Yaesu rigs. The main difference to the operator externally is this display and how you interact with the rig. It's not as purple as it looks on this video. The issue I found in contesting is that on the rig there is a memory keyer, and you can record memories. I'm sure you can on your rig as well. And if you press one, in this instance I've got a CQ call, but that window stays on the display all the time. So you can see the immediate problem, it's blocking the waterfall. Now I could shrink this to down there and bring up the memory keyer again, and I can see the spectrum display, but it's the waterfall I'm interested in, and it's that time lapse that I'm interested in as I work different directions with the beam on VHF. So the way around this is to use the FH2, and this is the keypad of my 5000, so I nearly purchased another one rather than taking it off the 5000 every time I go contesting portable. So in the UK these are about £35, which seems great. No problem with that at all. It's got lots of features in terms of SSB and CW recording, but I actually only want to use one call, which is that one, which is my general CQ. So I thought, well, surely I could make a one call button, and it just so happens that I've got the parts to do this. If you're going to replicate the FH2 in its entirety, unless you really want to do the project, I would say buy one, because by the time you've bought these buttons, the casing, the resistors, the lead, the jack plug, surely for £35, I'm not sure how much these retail in America, but for £35 I would just stick with this. The only disadvantage I've found in using this with the FTDX10, when I'm in the car in the dark, these buttons don't light up, and I have pressed the wrong button on occasion when I've used this rig, and I've only used it once and I've got it wrong so far. So you'll see on the internet, if you Google how this works, these are just different resistances. There's nothing particularly clever on the other end. It is just a mono 3.5mm jack, and basically if you press a button it presents a different resistance to the rig. Now again, online you'll find lots of information about how to get exact resistances by piggybacking resistors together to create an exact match, but I've found my resistances on this pad are different to those online on other people's tables, and when you actually look at the resistances, they're fairly well apart, and I think that's to allow for manufacturing tolerances both in this, the resistors, and the rig that's going to read it. So I don't think you have to be that exact, and that was the purpose of my test. So I'll just show you now how I've read the resistances and then I'll present the table of my findings. So all I'm doing here is connecting the multimeter to the end of the jack plug, and if we press button 1, 903 ohms, button 2, just below 1.3 k ohms, button 3, just below 1.8 k ohms. So you can see the resistances are fairly well spaced apart, which I think, again, like I say, is to allow for tolerances in manufacture. So I don't think the resistor has to be an exact match. So effectively we're trying to just simulate a resistance of these keys. So what I've done, I've bought some resistors because I didn't have any of the right values, and we'll see how I get on. I'll post next a table showing my readings for this FH2. So here's the table. On the left the buttons, down the middle my readings from my FH2, and on the right some results I found on the internet. You can see the sort of similar results, but there are differences, and I think, as I said, tolerances allow for a bit of plus or minus when you build yours. So for the princely sum of £1, I've bought 20 910 ohm resistors, and while I was on I bought 20 1.3 k ohm resistors. So with these values I should be able to simulate button 1, button 2. So here we are on the back of the FTDX10, and that is the remote keyer. So that's where the FH2 plugs in, or in this case a 3.5mm mono jack that's just bared off at the ends. And I can plug this in now. And all I'm going to do now is put resistance values across those wires, and you'll see the rig hopefully call up the memory. So I've got here a single 910 ohm resistor. If I connect it across these two wires, there we go, the fans come on. I'm not transmitting, breaking's off. So I know this 910 ohm resistor works for memory 1, and here's all the 1.3Ks. So if I do the same and connect, I can't remember what I've got recorded on memory 2. Here we go. So that's the shorter call. So what I'm going to do with the FTDX10 is to use this Footswitch to call CQ. I've not used this. This was from a previous project that never came to fruition, to do with the headset. It's a non-latching switch, so it only makes connection while it's down. It's not like an on-off, well, on-off. It's just literally on while you've got your foot down, and then off. So I just need to find out the connections on this lead, put the resistor in series to the jack plug, and then plug it back into the rig. And with the 910 ohm resistor I'll have memory 1. So this is the FH2 plugged into the rig. If I press memory 1 now, you can see the memory window is not on the display, and you can see it works, and that's what will happen with the Footswitch. What I've found though, even though I'm using an external keyer, if you're changing the signal meter to say ALC or SWR, while that window's showing, the memory keyer doesn't work. So if I go to PO and press that now, it doesn't work. ALC, press, doesn't work. Wait, press. So it's a bit of a pain that when you're in the heat of battle in a contest, that delay is just annoying. I could sort of understand if the window was up showing the memory key, but yeah, perhaps that could be fixed in a future firmware. And there's another little niggle I want to show you. Now, actually, this next one is a pain. It's more than a niggle. On the scale of annoyance, I've gone from niggle to pain, and hopefully Yaesu can do something about this in a firmware update. Handily, the FTDX10, you can enter an SD card and record QSOs or your operations for a long period as well. I think you can record hours on this. So we're going to record, and you can see rec flashing up there. So if I come out, we're now recording this QSO. But I want to call CQ from the memory. Nothing. If you bring up the message window, you can't. It won't allow it. So that's not good, is it? I can't record a long session and use memory calls at the same time. If I stop recording, stop, and the SREC goes off, back to normal. So hopefully something Yaesu can fix in a future release of firmware for the FTDX10. So I'm looking forward to getting to know the FTDX10 more and enjoying some of its performance that it's renowned for. Obviously you've got a few niggles and a few issues that hopefully Yaesu could possibly address in a future firmware. Anyway, if you enjoyed watching that video, there are other non-rig specific videos on the channel. If you consider subscribing, you'll be notified of when these are released. 73.